To be able to build a normal train locomotives and normal train carts, we need a large assembly factory. To build a large assembly factory, we press a B to open the build menu, and if we come to the facilities tab and we hover over the large assembly factory, we can see that to build it we need a construction vehicle and we need 250 processed construction materials. I repeat, 250 processed construction materials. To place it, you left click on the large assembly factory, and that will put the blueprint of that underneath your mouse cursor. You can see that it is a very large structure, so the minimum foundation you need is a 4x2, so having two 2x2 foundations is going to fit a large assembly factory. If we hold down the right mouse button, we can change the orientation of our large assembly factory, and if we look at the back of the large assembly factory, we can see that there is the power connection. So we change the orientation and place the large assembly factory till it turns yellow. We then left click, that will put down the blueprint, drive up to it with our CV, and this is going to take quite a while. So luckily I am next to the metalworks factory that has a whole heap of processed construction materials in its inventory and is still producing more. So we can see in the bottom left, I can just press E to open it up, and I can come to the stockpile and shift click to assemble those into my CV. We fill up the CV, escape out of the menu, and keep hammering, and we repeat that until we finish the large assembly factory. Now that we built the large assembly factory, we can walk up to it and open its menu. And if we press E to open it, we can see that in the production panel, we get the recipes for the BMS Black Bolt, which is the normal gauge train. There is the BMS Rockhold, which is the container cart. There is the BMS Holdout, that is an infantry cart. And there is the BMS Long Rider, which is the flatbed cart. The stockpile will stockpile processed construction materials, assembly materials type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, and type 5. And it will also stockpile steel construction materials. In the status panel, we can see that the large assembly factory requires 8 megawatts of power, and that there is a progress bar with which we can check the progress of our current assembly. In the upgrades panel, we can hover over the two different upgrades. There is the train assembly, which will allow us to assemble combat cars, and the long-range artillery car, which is basically the storm cannon on wheels. And there is the heavy tank assembly, which allows us to make heavy tanks, and that is the Column Predator super tank and the Flood Mk1 battle tank. If we hover over the recipes for the train locomotive, we can see that we need 200 processed construction materials, 60 assembly materials type 1, and 50 assembly materials type 4, and that it will require 6 hours of assembly. During those 6 hours, you need to be sure that the power stays on. This is also a good indication that you should not, I repeat, not attempt this solo. Unless, of course, you're willing to lose your mind.